how you doing? It's me, Justin from The Darkness. There's Frankie over there. Frankie, come here. What's your favourite love song that The Darkness ever wrote?
My favourite love song The Darkness ever wrote is probably Choke on You.
Mine would be How Can I Lose Your Love? Oh, it's so powerful. Or what's the other one? What's the one on the new record that everyone should listen to?
Yeah.
Sticky Situation.
Sticky Situations is the best one. Yes, the other greatest love song of all time. What would that be? Nobody does it better. No.
All by Myself.
All by myself. I wanna be.
Based on Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2.
Based on Rapscallion, what? Rachmaninoff.
It's based on, that whole song is based on a Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto.
That's why that's how you know it's good. Anyway, cheers, Richard. So, Rachmaninoff's Concerto No. 2 is the best song ever made about love. Rebadged and repurposed in that all by myself. Best Darkness love song is Frankie's favourite is Choke on It. Mine is Love is a Many Splendid Thing. Oh no, maybe that's the greatest love song ever written. The Shirley Bassey version of Love is a Many Splendid Thing. It's difficult to choose one. Sorry, mate. I hope that's alright.
Hello and welcome on back to Heard It in a Love Song, the show where we take a trip to the past to discover the history of a love song we all know and love. This week, after a short hiatus, we are going to take a look into the history of a 2003 song that wouldn't have sounded out of place in 1983. I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness. But first... In January 2022, CBS teamed up with YouGov, an international internet-based market research and data analytics firm, to dive into just how many people really believe in love. The study of 2,000 people, aimed specifically at Americans, took a look into how people perceive love. As it turns out, a staggering 86% of Americans believe that true love exists. Drop that about 20%, however, and you get the 67% who have actually experienced it themselves. 69% of people who hadn't found their variation of true love, noted that they did remain hopeful that their time would come. The study really dives deep into the many facets of finding love, even down to outside factors, with 61% of people agreeing that rom-coms make true love seem way more obtainable than it actually is. And when it comes to the important people in their lives, 53% believe that only a few of their loved ones have found true love. Truly shocking, though, is a study done by Stephanie Tong, Associate Professor of Communication Studies at Wayne State University, who found that, despite the fact that the last few years have been an absolute nightmare, online dating site OkCupid actually reported a 700% increase in usage since the pandemic began, while Tinder thrived as well, breaking its own record for the most swipe activity in one day with a staggering 3 billion swipes.
That's a lot of nuts!
And when it comes to a song from a staunch defender of true love, none hit harder than this week's topic.
Hi, I'm Justin Hawkins. I sing for The Darkness. We had a seasonal number 2 in 2003, and then we contributed to the number 1 the year after, which was the Band Aid reimagining.
I'm Dan Hawkins. I'm Justin's brother and guitarist in The Darkness.
We start our story, really, in the late 80s, in Lowestoft, a coastal town in the East Suffolk district of Suffolk, England, about 130 miles northeast of London. It's there and then we meet up with the Hawkins brothers, Justin David Hawkins, born March 17, 1975, and younger brother Daniel Francis Hawkins, born a year later on December 12, 1976. So it's the 80s, and the boys, like many people of that era, were obsessed with bands like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Def Leppard, Whitesnake, AC/DC, Queen, Motley Crue, Fleetwood Mac, the Rolling Stones, and Thin Lizzy.
That's a penis!
Drawing great inspiration from them all, but especially Brian May from Queen.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The brothers decided that the best plan of action would be to learn how to play guitar themselves. Both of them became quite proficient, but Dan even more so, with Justin recalling, I was white hot, but he was shit hot. In 1997, Justin left Lowestoft for Huddersfield to attend the University of Huddersfield, prompting Dan to head to London in hopes of finding a band to join. That's where he met Frankie Poulan, a Scottish transplant with wild claims of being the son of a West Indies pirate. The two became fast friends and rented a flat just outside of London in Shepherd's Bush, where they would often entertain a revolving door of musicians trying to find the perfect fit. Dan knew the two perfect pieces they were missing, and that was his brother Justin and their school friend Ed Graham. However, he would find a place in our story a bit later. They took the next logical step and started a band of their own, with Dan on lead vocals, Justin on lead guitar, and Frankie on bass. They called themselves Empire, taking that name from the Queensryche album, which included their most well-known song.
I'm smiling next to you in silent lucidity.
They were largely a cover band, with Justin recalling to Premier Guitar magazine, "We did a lot of Marillion covers. Bruce Springsteen, Genesis. We were a bit proggy." But the band went nowhere and shortly disbanded, and it seemed that maybe the perfect pieces belonged to a different puzzle. Fast forward to December 31st, 1999, the eve of the new millennium. Dan and Justin were at a party at their aunt's pub in Norfolk, and Justin, a few sheets to the wind, signed himself up for the karaoke contest slated for that night, and that one choice would change the brothers' lives forever. Justin's song of choice? None other than Bohemian Rhapsody. And by the time he was finished singing, something he accompanied with his best Freddie Mercury moves, his brother was blown away. He realized there and then the mistake that Empire had made. It shouldn't have been Dan on lead vocals, it should have been Justin. With that revelation, the brothers managed to convince Ed to join on drums, and Frankie to rejoin the newly shaken up band, and thus, The Darkness was born. Over the next 2 years, the boys started playing as many shows as possible, playing a series of gigs around North London, almost always on a Saturday night. Word of mouth pushed The Darkness into local fame, and they had no problem selling out the small clubs and venues that they played at. But while their fan base ate up the 80s aesthetic, most of the music journalists in Britain thought of their throwback sound and look as nothing more than a joke and refused to write anything positive about the boys. And despite the lack of love from the critics, the band continued to play gigs for little money, determined to get a record contract. Justin Hawkins, in an interview with Yahoo Music, looked back on that period of time for the band, saying, "The thing is, being in a band is a bit like having a child, and 99% of being in a band is struggling, intolerable bullshit, and a real pain in the ass, and then the other 1% makes it all worthwhile. It's the thrill of doing it." Now, prior to the creation of The Darkness, Justin had a pretty solid stream of money coming in from doing jingles for some huge brands, including IKEA, Mars, Tango, and Yahoo, and with that money, the band saved up and recorded an EP. That EP, entitled I Believe in a Thing Called Love, featured a song of the same name, along with early versions of Love on the Rocks with No Ice and Love Is Only a Feeling, was released on August 12, 2002, through the independent label called Must Destroy Music, which had releases from artists like Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys and the Von Bondis. This was huge for The Darkness because the lead single from the EP, I Believe in a Thing Called Love, more on that in a bit, won a major talent contest and scored them an all-important opening slot for both Deep Purple and Def Leppard. And after selling out the infamous London venue, the Astoria, major labels finally took notice. And after years of no luck at all, things finally fell into place, and Atlantic Records signed The Darkness. They quickly set out to record their debut album. Their debut album, Permission to Land, was recorded at Chapel Studios, a pretty well-known UK-based recording studio that saw many artists recording there, including Cradle of Filth, Machine Head, Murder Dolls, Newfound Glory, Arctic Monkeys, Bullet for My Valentine, Wednesday 13, and Chumbawamba.
I get knocked down!
Before we jump into the singles, let me talk quickly about one of the coolest songs on the album, the opening track, Black Shuck. Now, I am a huge fan of urban legends and cryptids and the like. I even had a podcast with one of my best friends called Legends and Libations, where we gave the history of just that. Black Shuck, as you may have guessed, is one hell of a cryptid. The beast known as Black Shuck, Old Shock, or simply Shuck, is said to roam the coastline and countryside of East Anglia and Suffolk. For centuries, tales have been told of a terrifying large black dog with plate-sized malevolent flaming eyes, and depending on who is recalling the tale, the beast varies in size and stature from that of a large dog to a dog-like creature the size of a horse. According to the folklore, the ghostly good boy haunts the landscapes of East Anglia, primarily the coastline, as well as graveyards, crossroads, bodies of water, and lush forests. Its most well-known sightings took place in 1577 at Bungay and Blythburgh. Legend has it that on August 4th, 1577, a large black dog burst through the doors of St. Mary's Church in Bungay with a deafening clap of thunder. It ran up to the nave, past a large congregation, killing a man and a boy, and causing the church steeple to collapse through the roof, before moving on to the Blythburgh Church, where it mauled and killed more people. Local accounts attribute the event to the devil, and the scorch marks on the door of Blythburgh Church are referred to the locals as the devil's fingerprints, which can actually be seen at that church to this day. According to the folklore, the Bungay Black Dog still prowls along quiet lanes and lonesome footpaths of the Suffolk coast, and if you are unfortunate enough to encounter him, it is said that you will soon meet with an unfortunate fate. The first single from Permission to Land was released on February 24th, 2003. A fun little tune called Get Your Hands Off of My Woman, it reached number 43 on the UK charts.
Get your hands off of my
They followed that up on June 16th, 2003 with Growing on Me, which peaked much higher at number 11 on the UK charts. The fourth single released was on December 15th, 2003, and it's one of my favorite modern-day Christmas songs, Christmas Time, Don't Let the Bells End, which peaked at number 2 on the UK charts. The fifth and final single was released on March 22nd, 2004, and is my second favorite song on the album, Love Is Only a Feeling, which peaked at number 5 on the UK charts.
Love is only a feeling, drifting away.
But we are here to talk about the third single released, I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
I wanna kiss you every minute, every hour, every day.
There is no doubt that I Believe in a Thing Called Love was a monster for the Darkness, but it almost didn't happen at all. Dan Hawkins told Classic Rock Magazine the story of the song. I Believe in a Thing Called Love was such an important song for the Darkness, but when I wrote it, I really wasn't sure about it. The chorus is so stupidly catchy, I thought people were just going to take it as a complete joke. Right from the start, the song stuck out like a sore thumb. It's at the Def Leppard Queen end of what we did, whereas 90% of our stuff was inspired by 1970s, AC/DC, Aerosmith, and Thin Lizzy. Writing it was a real collaborative effort. Me and Frankie shared a top floor flat in Primrose Hill in London, which sounds posh, but trust me, it was a shithole. Justin would come over and the three of us would write in this flat, jamming acoustically because we couldn't afford to write in a rehearsal room. When we wrote I Believe in a Thing Called Love, we had some booze, smoked some Joe, and tried to write the most 80s song we could think of. We started with the riff, which Justin came up with, and it sounded really great right away. But when he sang the chorus for the first time, I just said, no, you can't do that, it sounds ridiculous. I really thought that people would just laugh at us when they heard it. So for the rest of the song, I tried to make it sound cool, more rock. The rest of the song was all in a minor key. I was so unsure that we debated about playing the song live, but as soon as we did, people loved it. It's party music, and it just gets people going. Justin Hawkins, in an interview with Songfacts.com, looked back on the downright goofiness of the lyrics, saying, "Some of the most stupid stuff is the ones people sing at you, and that always makes me smile. Things like, my heart's in overdrive and you're behind the steering wheel. That's just daft, but in the right way. It's not too stupid and it's not clever stupid, just daft. And that's quite uplifting, I think. Or it makes people feel like they're part of something innocent and pure. I think that's quite challenging actually, because being daft in the right way is very difficult. I've only done it well a couple of times, and that's probably one of them. And when the single was released on September 22nd, 2003, the world showed that they absolutely appreciated these daft punks, with I Believe in a Thing Called Love skyrocketing the song to platinum, as well as the album itself, even helping to secure Permission to Land a place in the Robert Dimery book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. In March 2005, Q Magazine placed I Believe in a Thing Called Love at number 47 in its list of the 101 greatest guitar tracks, and it was named the 276th best track of the 2000s by Pitchfork. British magazine NME, who ignored the band for years, finally gave The Darkness the press that they deserved. Over the course of 2003 and 2004, the band graced the cover numerous times, all without an official interview from the members of The Darkness, who refused to give them an interview after years of being snubbed.
Was it the NME?
It was
Chance?
from the
Well, don't
NME.
read
Is
that
that
shit, rag. They know
rubbish?
nothing about us at all. You might notice it's a 4-page piece with no interview in it. We don't play with them.
The song was perhaps emboldened by the over-the-top, extremely campy music video that accompanied it. Directed by Alex Smith, who also directed the very polar opposite video,
And it was all yellow.
the video saw its giant pterodactyl, spaceship, and various creatures that the Darkness had to contend with designed by Jim Friedlander, who is actually the son of John Friedlander, who was responsible for the creation of loads of Doctor Who's creature features, including Davros and K9. Alex Smith had also directed the very homegrown original video, and the one carryover from that video was the sausage that Justin screams guitar into. The song was featured in a 2012 commercial during the Super Bowl for the Samsung Galaxy Note. This propelled the song to the #1 spot on the US iTunes rock charts.
Can't believe we're missing the game for this.
This feels like detention.
Want to see a picture of my cat?
No.
Whoa, 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 what is that?
It's the new Samsung Galaxy Note.
It's got a pin? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Samsung.
Yeah.
Again.
I don't know what I believe in anymore.
I know what I believe in.
Introducing the Galaxy Note from Samsung.
Well, that was over the top.
And it also appeared in an Apple Music commercial featuring pop singer Taylor Swift in 2016. And according to a Billboard magazine interview with Justin, that was a fitting choice, as Taylor Swift is a huge fan of The Darkness, with him being quoted as saying, "Taylor Swift used to come to our shows back in the day, and it's good to see that she hasn't given up on her roots." The success of I Believe in a Thing Called Love and Permission to Land saw The Darkness winning Best British Album, Best British Group, and Best British Rock Act at the 2004 Brit Awards. I Believe in a Thing Called Love comes in at 128 beats per minute. The summer that Permission to Land came out, I was 14 going on 15, and I used what little money I had to buy my first CD, which just so happened to be Permission to Land. I was elated to find that the album was just as amazing as I had built it up to be in my mind. The Darkness really captured in audio what it feels like to believe in love. Your whole body is electrified as you fall for someone. Your whole world is rocked. And I thank God for The Darkness for not being afraid to be exactly who they want it to be. This week's Love Homework is another arena rock type love song, this time by Ghost, Dance Macabre.
Just wanna be with you in the moonlight.
And that's it, the end of another love song history lesson. If you like what you learned, and you'd like to continue learning, subscribe, hit the bell, drop a like below, and join me again next time as we discover the history of a love song we all know and love. Until next time, remember, you've got me in a spin, but everything is A-okay. And remember, you heard it in a love song.